Life Animated. This is like the third time we've done this. And what we do is we look at the stories, these ancient stories that we've told and we're telling over and over again. And we see in them kind of glimpses into our souls, into our hearts, into those struggles that we have. In fact, I wrote this paragraph when we first did these, and I think it kind of says it better than maybe I can just speak it. It says, our lives are made up of stories. You ever thought of that? That's how we live our lives. They're made up of stories. Perhaps this is why we are storytellers, and maybe that's why Jesus at one point only spoke to us in stories, because stories touch our hearts. They communicate in a way that just prose can't do that. So perhaps this is why we are storytellers. Books and plays and musicals and films, Aesop's fables, ancient Greek tragedies, Shakespeare. Seems that humankind has always had a need to tell stories. Stories are meant to explain our existence. They're meant to look at the mystery of our lives, the things we struggle with. They're like a window into the soul. They point to a voice within each of us that whispers to us of a backstory, a greater story, a hope that things can be different, if you will, behind our stories, which somehow intersects with our individual stories to make sense of our lives. We tell stories to try to make sense of our lives, and it all points finally to what God gives us in Jesus, the greatest story ever told, the great true story of God. Today we do Beauty and the Beast, and this is an absolute classic. It's an absolute classic. The theme song has these words in it: tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme, Beauty and the Beast. And as I went through this film, it struck me again and again that the story that this film is telling is as old as time, and we just tell it in different ways over and over again. Watch. So the story begins. The prince had everything he could possibly want. Everything was provided for him. Everything and anything that he needed to be happy. He had it all. And then he made a choice to turn away from it. And then not only himself, but everything he was master over became cursed. He became a caricature of himself. And there was no way out. It was his fault. And he couldn't fix it. The story goes, there was one way out. There was the way of love. He would need to love and to be loved. And yet he dwelled in this hopelessness. And there was a time limit to it. He only had so much time to break the curse before it was too late. Do you recognize that story at all? It's astounded me when I first saw this film again. I mean, I watched it with my kids, and we had a great time. I love the music. I love all those things. Then I sat down and looked at it for what we're going to do today, and I thought, wow, man, that's amazing. It seems like embedded deep within the human soul, our psyche, is this story of God. We know that things aren't right. We all seem to know we're under a curse. We tell it over and over again. And it's just the story that God tells. Look at this verse here from Genesis. Let me kind of set this up for you, okay? God has given to Adam and Eve this perfect world. They have everything their hearts could ever desire. They have perfect relationship with God and with one another. And they make a choice to turn away from it. It is their fault and nobody else's fault. And God comes to Adam and he says, cursed is the ground because of you. So everything that Adam and Eve are masters over is now cursed. In the New Testament, there's a verse that says that creation groans to be released from the curse. Cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil you will eat of it all your days. Thorns and thistles and hardships and brokenness. Can you relate to that? And at the end of it all, death. That's where the curse takes us. But this isn't a story, this is reality. But in the middle of all that, there's this hope. God talks to the serpent, to Satan. He says, the seed of the woman will crush the head of the serpent. There will be true love, for God so loved the world that he will give up his only son. And through his death, that son will crush the head of the serpent. Only love, the love of God, can break the curse. And that's what happened. In Galatians, it says, Christ redeemed us, bought us back from read the next 3 words with me, from the curse of the law. From the curse of the law. He bought us back by becoming a curse for us, by taking it on himself. That's what love looks like. I really enjoyed the movie because it didn't pull any punches. It didn't simply focus on the castle and say, there's where the curse is. But as it goes on and shows life in the village, it becomes obvious that there's something not right there either. That some kind of curse is on everyone. Watch. So did you catch what she was singing? There must be more than this provincial life. There's got to be more than life than this, man. I mean, everything looks happy, doesn't it? Everybody's dancing around, and oh, this is just wonderful. In the middle of all that, there's got to be more to life than this. Have you ever been there? And in the middle, and through all of it, weaved together, you have the people who are judgmental of her, and you have the little hint of sexual sin, and we laugh, right? And as it goes on, it paints a picture of this guy named Gaston. The boy's got everything. He's the biggest, strongest, baddest dude there, right? And yet, the curse has got a hold of him, too. He thinks life is all about himself. And Belle's the prettiest girl in town, so he wants to own her. And when she turns him down for marriage, he becomes evil embodied. And he begins to do horrible things. On the surface, it may seem that everything is happy and healthy in this little village. But they live in a curse as well. And Belle, there's got to be more to life than this. Isn't that amazing that in a children's film, you have that kind of sentiment? It's the longing of the human soul. We make our lives only the stuff that's around us, and we make it about ourselves, and we say, God, there's got to be more than this. And there is, but we don't know where to find it. The story goes on. Belle's father's an inventor, and his latest invention, he's going to show it off at a fair, and so he puts it in the wagon, and he goes to do that, and he gets lost, and he gets lost on the grounds of the beast's castle, and the wolves chase him, and he runs into the castle looking for some help, and of course the beast is in this emptiness, in this despair, in this hopelessness, in this anger. The beast has completely cut himself off from everyone and anything else. That's what we do, right, in our hopelessness. And all we do is strike out then. So he takes the father and he throws him in the dungeon. And when he doesn't come back, Belle is coming to look for him. And she finds him in a dungeon. And here, and it will be a recurring theme, but here is the first place where the film shows us what this love looks like that can break the curse. Watch. So what does this love look like? You would take her place? Huh? You would give up your life? That's what she did, huh? And she did it seeing the curse completely brought out into the light. Come into the light. She did it knowing what she was getting into. That's what this love looks like. That one would lay down his life for another. Kind of reminds you about what Jesus says, doesn't it? Greater love has no one than this, that he laid down his life for his friends. And what was interesting in that clip, did you see the change in the beast? Even in the way he said, you would lay down, you would take his place. Did you notice that? You would take his place. And then his facial expression softens almost immediately, right? And even his voice. See, that's what happens when we come face to face with one who would love us so much that they would take our curse on himself. As we trust that, it changes us. It softens us. As we grow in that love that this one has for us, it empowers us to begin to connect again, to begin to show mercy again, to begin to lay down our lives for the sake of the other. It begins with those who are closest to us, our husbands, our wives, our children, our parents. And slowly it becomes a way of life towards those who are around us and towards those who are far away. You would take his place? There's no greater love than this, that he laid down his life for his friends. Jesus took our place. In that we are free and we are restored to show that love to another. It's astounding. This theme, the film hits on again and again and again. I mean, you saw it buried between Belle and her father even. Her father said, no, my life is over, take me. You see it when Belle escapes. She thinks she's going to escape, and in the snow, the wolves attack her, and it means sure death. And the beast runs out to rescue her. He already loves her. He doesn't even know it, but he loves her. And he runs out, and he's willing to fight this pack of wolves, and he finally beats them away, but in so doing, he's so beaten and bloodied that he passes out in the snow. He's willing to give up his life for her. And now she has a chance to escape. The beast is passed out. Her horse is here. She even takes a step towards the horse, but she can't do it. She gives up her life again. She takes the curse on herself again. She puts him on the horse and brings him back and cares for him. And finally, as their love is growing, and even those who have been turned into like a candlestick where they were people, they're kind of rejoicing, oh, this is going to work, this is going to work. Man, he's going to love her, she's going to love him, the curse is going to be broken, everything's going to be great, and it's kind of going towards, this is going to be awesome. But then this happens. Watch. Don't you love that little guy? The little clock guy? I just always get kicked out of here. What did you do? You let her go. Everything was going to be good. She loved you, you loved her. What's going on? I had to let her go. Why? Because I love her. That's what overcomes the curse. Even though he still looks like a beast, he's overcome that curse, hasn't he? Because he can love. Even though we still look like beasts sometimes, as we receive this love of Christ that took the curse on for us, because that's what he did again, right? He embraced the curse because of his love for her. Even as that touches us, even though it hasn't all come to fruition, we can have victory over the curse as we learn to love as the one who has loved us. The film, it goes on, Belle goes back to the village, and they have thought the story of the beast from her father was just a story. But she brings the mirror and she shows them it's true because they've imprisoned her father, Gaston, in his evilness, has imprisoned the father in an insane asylum. And now Gaston is so angry because he can tell Belle loves the beast. He's going to go kill it. He stirs up the village, and they go to attack the castle and to kill the beast. And they imprison Belle, but she gets out. And so she's trailing behind. She wants to save the beast. She loves him, but this battle's going on in the castle. And there's this epic fight between the beast and Gaston. And at one point, the beast has Gaston by the neck and can kill him, and he begs for his life. And he's been so changed that he has mercy. And he lets him go. And Belle arrives back, and they come together. But there's a surprise. Watch. You know, I can't make this stuff up. It's as if God, when I first saw this movie, it's as if have you ever done the T-ball when your kids are real small, right? They put the ball on the tee so you can't miss it, right? That's kind of what I felt with this movie. Just go here with me a second, all right? So the incarnate evil, he thinks he's completely won by killing the beast, but in that very act, he is totally and completely destroyed as he falls. There was an ancient Christian, I think it's Chrysostom, you don't know his name, about 300 AD, okay? And he wrote this ancient Eastern hymn. And he talked about how all of the hordes of hell rejoiced because they thought they had the victory when they had murdered Christ on the cross. They rejoiced. But then he says, but short was their rejoicing. Because in that very act, they were completely destroyed, utterly, utterly defeated. You can't miss it there, can you? And then there's the resurrection. It breaks all the rules. Did you think about that? The dude was dead, man. Dead people don't rise. In the story they did. And in the story of God that touches our lives, that's absolutely true. He did. And it breaks all the rules. But that's the power of the love of Christ. And then everything is restored. All that was cursed was made new. It's the picture that we get in the book of Revelation that we read. The Garden of Eden restored, even greater. That restoration is beginning right now in you and me and the ongoing work of Jesus and as we join him in that. But it's like the pause in the movie, though. He's remade, he's resurrected. They're together, and there's a pause, and then the final restoration is what we wait for. When Jesus comes in all of his glory, that's what it's going to be. That's what we wait for. I can't make this up. Why do we put this stuff in our stories? It's like this hope is buried deep within us. Tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme. Beauty and the Beast. Jesus is the beautiful one from eternity who took on the curse, became the beast for us on the cross, one that no one would look at because he was so beaten and so horribly condemned. We are the ones who were the beast. The curse was on our head. And because he took that curse on himself, we have become the beautiful ones, the bride of Christ. It's interesting to me, as we look at the stories we tell over and over again, we get so close to the story of God. And it's like it's a longing inside of us. And it comes out, especially our great needs and our knowing that things are broken and looking for help and knowing that somehow love is the key, all these things. But no matter what stories we tell, we come so close, but we never hit this thing called grace on its head. We always veer off just a little bit. Grace is undeserved love. In this movie, Beauty and the Beast, right in the beginning, what does it say? It says that you're going to have to do something now, pal. You're going to have to learn to love just as you are loved. You got to jump through a hoop. You got to achieve something. But the real story, the true story, is grace. Jesus does it all for us and offers it to us as a free gift. Oh, it changes us because it changes our very soul. We become brand new people. We are restored and renewed again. We're like the beast that says, you would take my place? And that changes us so that we can begin to love as Jesus does. But it never depends on what we do. It's always a gift of grace. It's the one thing that all of our stories seem to miss. But that's the story, the true story of God for you. For love, the love of Christ, never fails. Not even death could overcome it. So this week, where has the curse of sin left you in hopelessness and lovelessness? Where crying out that there must be more to life than this? Right in this place, receive anew by faith the victorious, overwhelming love of Christ and live anew in his love. For here, to this true love story of God for you, is where all the longings of all our stories are met. For the love of Christ never fails. And may God's Spirit strengthen you in that reality this week and empower you to live in it. Amen.